A bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about some changes to Dark Dimension 8, not only in the order and the updates to the DD8 planning guide, but also they're going to be giving out red stars where it looked like they weren't going to in the first and the second run. We've also got some questions about an event that just started today, and then we've also got some information on Blade and Null. And we're also going to talk about the player voice movement in Sevi. But before we get into that, redeem promo code DREAM. It's not a lot of gold, but it's training materials. But also, I want to draw your attention to Destructoid.com. There are codes. So this website updates all the codes. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can read them even closer. And they update them. Now, it does not have the Dream code, but it looks like that they update them on a monthly basis. And this is a place that I constantly check because, like, when we got the Envoy codes, they updated it. It seems like every time there's an Envoy tournament, there's a couple more codes. So let's get into what's going on. There was a change to the blog post the other day. I just want to also point out that, this was a lot of confusion here. I'm going to swap to the other side of the screen here. Earn ODIN's red stars by completing DD8 missions before October 15th. And it looks like there's been some change to that. I feel like there was some grumblings about that. First run rewards now says 2 red stars for ODIN. And then the second run will have 4 red stars for ODIN. And I'm sure that this is still in play so that the people that go through DD8 early and first are going to have more access to red stars. I mean, like, there's a picture right there of 7 red. So there's some rewards for that. So keep that in mind as well. Now, the planner has changed on the website. And I know there was some controversy about this because initially City Villain was ahead of City Hero. So non-legendary City Hero is the way that goes first. And this is the team that I'm currently working on. They did mention that the first node was going to be easy. They also said the last nodes, like this legendary or cosmic, they said is going to require either Super Scroll and Mephisto. They said they highly recommend it, not required. And then I just also wanted to point out that I'm pretty hyped about ODIN. And ODIN's coming out on Monday, or DD8's coming out on Monday. There are a ton of offers. Wail harder, you peasants! Speaking of wailing harder, I want to talk about the player voice movement, and some context about this is that Sevi was original founder, creator of the player voice movement, along with Beta Ray Bill and Evdog, and a lot of people have moved on and moved away. But I want to read this post because I want to give context, and then I just got some messages from Sevi saying, still going to be around. This isn't burnout. This is principles. I have a platform to make a stand and using it. So I wanted to read this because this is a pretty good post. I like it a lot. Over the past few days since the Future of Character Releases blog was revealed, I've heard from many of you about your thoughts and opinions on the future of the game. Some were positive and felt like this was a needed change to allow for advantage to those who spend. A great number of people had a negative view of the changes. As a high spender in the game, I can see the pros and cons of the decision by Scopely. It's not an easy line to walk while trying to please everyone and still make money as a business. However, in my personal opinion, I wholeheartedly disagree with the direction that the game is going in. As a spender, I choose to spend for 2 main reasons: advantages and time saving. Blitz event, yes, definitely spending because blitzing is terrible and takes time. I'd rather spend elsewhere, like with my family and my cluster community, or with the player voice movement, or council duties, or literally anywhere else than just pressing the same 3 buttons 50 plus times, multiple times per day. New team coming out, definitely spending because you get access to higher levels of content and higher rewards with those tunes. I also like winning. That makes sense, right? In many, if not all, gacha games like Marvel Strike Force, spending increases my advantages and probably better chances of winning. I'm fortunate enough to have the disposable income that allows me to play at a high level and play well sometimes. And I got to say that it feels like they're trying to move into the more randomness. And when they introduced randomness, even if the total amount is more, it introduced risk. And if you want to minimize the risk, it incentivized spending. So I'm not spending to see my friends, cluster mates, and community barely being able to unlock a tune because the events are so convoluted and complex. I'm not spending to see people struggle, unlock, and not unlock a new tune because the team orb chances are so abysmally low, they have no real shot at it. And I'm not going to go over this in detail, but Baka, look at how bad these orbs are. Like, to get Thanos inside of the Thanos orb averages 0.23 shards per orb. It's garbage. Absolutely garbage. And that's factoring in getting, the big drops, right? Although I like my advantages from spending, still want others, including those who do not spend the same as I do, to be able to get there reasonably soon too. In our last announcement, we encourage players to make their voices heard in multiple forums, including avenues that directly affect the game. Since then, I have been personally evaluating my relationship with this game and with Scopely. In this reflection, I've decided that I cannot in good conscience continue to give Scopely my money when I absolutely do not agree with the direction the game is going. I do not want to participate in their experiments any longer, so this being my loudest and final contribution to their metrics. I truly care about everything I have been able to build and contribute to the community and the player voice movement, my cluster, and my alliance. The experience has been so fulfilling to see the community come together and regain their enthusiasm for the game. It has been difficult to watch many of you lose that enjoyment over the last 2 months. My choice to retire my account was not one that I made lightly, as it affects a much larger number of people than I ever expected. I'm in the way. I'm sorry, too, but I feel like it's right for me. While my account is retiring from the game in the near future, still be assisting with player voice mode. The council, like Shusky does, the movie will not end with my in-game retirement. Evan actually just reached out to me. Evan and Johnny. I know Johnny pretty well. I played with Johnny for a long time in Mutiny, and both of them have reached out to me, and I got to see what that means. But just like the last hour, both of them reached out to me. We'll be continuous pushing boundaries for you, advocating for a better game. Players Council is still in full effect, and everyone is fully committed to keeping this on track. This movement was never for Beta Ray. This is talking about Beta Ray Bill or Evdog or me. It was the community. It was for you. Retirement doesn't change that. Wish you all the best. And, I thought this was this was earlier today in chat here on Twitch. Still going to be around. This isn't burnout. This is principles. I have a platform to make a stand. I'm using it. And I think that is a big deal. And also, I'm not suggesting that, targeted attacks against the store. But, if you have meaningful criticism of the game, there's a lot of places that you can do that. Reddit, Facebook, Discord are all good places. I know they track theirs. Even the YouTube comment section. If you want to update your store rating, if you think the game deserves 5 stars, do that. If it does 1 star, and then everybody individually is going to have to make a decision for themselves based on what they want to do, similar to this. If you want to pause or do something differently. Now, the main issue, I have 2 main issues with what's going on with the game, and I agree with all of this 100%. My 2 main issues is that $80 a month is enough. Holy moly, $80 worth of battle passes should be more than enough to fund this game. And this idea that they want more than $80 a month, whatever that number is, $200, $300, $400 a month, is absurd to me. They're trying to increase the total cost of the game. And then secondly, moving to more randomness with these horrible orbs, that have, that point nothing % chance of getting the 100 drops, I think is just terrible. And I do think there's been so many good things with the game, and we're going to read a relatively positive post towards the end of the video. There's been so many good things, and I've been enjoying the game. I started a new player account, and that was so much fun, and the tempo of it was amazing. And the changes that have been made in, let's say, a year ago to the last 6 months, have positively impacted my numbers on YouTube. I'm up 22%. Subs is through the roof. There's been tremendous growth. And for them to just dumpster that with some of these recent changes just is alarming to me that they would choose to do that. So, this saddens me to see people have to be put in a position to do this. And the player voice movement, I feel like, has been a net positive, to the extent that Scopely listens to them. There's been good results, but of course they don't listen, just like they don't listen to me. Sometimes they are not interested in my feedback. Also, new character coming to Twitch and YouTube. The real Nick Fury. The rest of them are Skrulls. This guy's a Skrull. A lot of people didn't know that David Hasselhoff used to play Nick Fury. And then Sam Jackson, they're Skrulls. And people just didn't get it. There's nothing to do with Dr. Evil #2 having a baby. That's Big Fury. You didn't see it. There was a video on the Marvel Strike Force official YouTube with Pathfinder. It's Meet Your Community Manager Pathfinder. And this is basically like wallpaper for Null and Blade. And I just really wanted to go over some quick summaries in case you missed the video. DD8 is coming on Monday. Developers are recommending Mephisto and Super Skrull. We just talked about that. The order of the nodes is mirrored on the website. For the planner, first few missions will be easier than other DDs and difficulty ramps up. And that's worth mentioning that they said the last nodes, Mephisto and Super Skrull, are going to be recommended because it's going to get hard. The first run is 5 yellow. Second run is 7 yellow. They added the red stars. Node's coming from DD8 prior to October 14th, so we had an update on that. Blade is not a legendary. First 10 players of DD8 will get diamonds for Blade. Radioactive Treats store is extended. Blade is not dark promotion credits. Null is the final boss in the first battle world. Blade will be very useful in DD8. Ravens are used to complete milestones for ODIN red stars. And then we had some brief information here on the kit of Blade. Elements of Blade's kits are useful in Dark Dimension. Ultimate has 20% health shield on primary target. His basic reduces speed bar by 10% and hits twice. What is this Annihilator's Web event? This just went live like an hour and a half ago. I'm glad you asked. This is kind of a meaningless event as far as how it plays out. I mean, there's good stuff in the event for sure. Lots of good shards. Grab extra Gladiator, Gore, and Thanos endgame character shards with this special web event. Initial milestone guaranteed 10 shards for these characters. These shards with the orbs earned from the web-free claims, you can inject more power into your Annihilators. I was going to say something. Whenever they use the word inject more power, I wanted to say something else. I think I said something else on Twitch. Earn points from daily free claims on the web beyond. Upcoming promo code. So we have the promo code from today, which is Dream. Keep an eye on our social channels and Discord for coming week and select Thanos endgame offers. Claim rewards on the web beyond Gladiator, Gore, and Thanos endgame character shards. Event begins. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Event ends on the 18th. But it's just like, just log in. I just don't really, I feel like just give us a calendar. If they want us to log in every day, give us a calendar. I don't know why we have to click so many buttons and have a convoluted event. Just how is that different than creating a calendar? I don't get it. Don't get it. I want to read this post because it's mostly positive, and I agree with the sentiment here. And this is from Steven Rastelin, The Tragedy of Marvel Strike Force, right? So many good things I'm excited for about the game-wise Marvel Strike Force. We get zombies each year that keep a fun team fresh and relevant. There's been a lot of speculation. I think I saw a Boylon video the other day where he was speculating on what the zombie character is going to be. We have some really cool Marvel Strike Force original characters that stay pretty relevant in the game. I agree. Ultimus is not a Marvel Strike Force character. I guess he was in the comics in the 80s, but they revamped him. They pulled him out of nowhere. And then we have the other characters, Vol, Deathpool, Kestrel, and so on, and Weaver. It's cool, right? I really like the Deathpool storyline too. Raid teams are getting better value and useful outside of raids, and they recently revamped the Orcus team. Lady Deathstrike is so incredibly powerful. Video is out. I don't know if it's out now or not, where I one-shot Super Skrull and Crucible with Lady Deathstrike. And it's with their special, and he wasn't even the primary target. He was adjacent to a pre-taunting tank, hit the special button, and Thanos got deleted. Raid teams are getting better value, useful outside of raids, and getting so many great plug-and-play characters, Dakin, Gladiator, Northstar, Sasquatch, Gore, in-game Thanatos, Cosmic, Ghost Rider, Black Knight, Nightcrawler, Void Knight. Likewise, game got more flexible, like Superior 6 and Cabal. This has increased theory crafting in Alliance War and Crucible for sure. Spotlight Raids giving us more of the T4s than ever. Their orbs have been good and updated frequently. I also like how long we've been able to use the same required teams, getting Towers and Pocket Dimension more regularly. That said, if they can figure out a way to make more people happy with the challenge levels of Pocket Dimension, that would be a nice cherry on the top. I've been playing another game that is mostly PvE. There are tons of ways of doing PvE correctly. Somebody over there needs to figure it out. Difficulty sliders, whatever. There's got to be a million ways to make PvE challenging to in-game players and yet not exclusive to and excluding newer players. We have shorter Cosmic Crucible season, big bonus, right? Based on the data from Rage Gaming and the big positive geek, free-to-play players have been getting an amazing amount of gold and training materials. Blue and green ISO bottlenecks have been greatly loosened up. Yep. There've been a lot more player involvement for polls. Wish we could have voted on Karen's code name. Yeah, because, that's going to be, Oath? So Karen Page was going to be a vampire mentored by Morbius. So we voted for Karen. We voted for Morbius. And I guess the name, according to a data mine, is going to be Oath. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I got out of it. I've been getting more fun things outside the game with Envoy tournaments, code giveaways, and trivia games on the Marvel Strike Force Discord. Thank you, Community Manager Strike Fox. My biggest complaint is we didn't get a Mr. Sinister Madeline Pryor rework for X-Men 97. I feel like something went wrong with that because we got like Kitty, Colossus, X-23, and a couple other mutants reworks, and nothing. It's like, I felt like they were going to be tied to moments or something, and the moments didn't come out. None of it felt right. Mr. Sinister's favorite character is one of the funnest characters of the game. It's a shame how long he's been out of the meta. All they got to do really to make Mr. Sinister is give him some more health and make him like 20 speed faster or something. He'll probably be fine. All this to say, the game does not have its problems. So here's the point. The tragedy with all these great things about Marvel Strike Force is the last several months, instead of being the golden age of Marvel Strike Force, it's too often being overshadowed by Scopely's monetization decisions. And there's 3 specific examples of this, and I'm sure he's going to go into all 3, but off the top of my head, Old Man Logan, Captain Britain, and now with Annihilators. Old Man Logan trial, which players were locked out of doing a level of difficulty their rosters could handle. A Captain Britain release event in which most players had no hope of unlocking him, despite players previously being able to at least unlock weak versions of epics. Now many players have to wait 2 to 3 times longer than not more to unlock new characters. What is the point of the game's devs stepping up and doing a fantastic job of making the game better if Scopely's money people are just going to spoil it? Yep. What is the point of Scopely bragging about how new players council and their teammates are in an article? They're just going to totally ignore their feedback on the most important issues. Marvel Strike Force evolved into a really great game over the last year or so. I agree. A game that is going to make Scopely a lot of money. And they do make a lot of money. I just don't understand why they need more. Seems so greedy. It's never going to make as much money as Monopoly Go. It's still a wildly successful game that is grossed well over $1 billion, onto its way for $2 billion. It doesn't need to be a $6 billion game in the next year, and it's not going to happen. So why ruin it? Oh my God. The game is going to rise and fall based on how Scopely chooses to make that money. Players are not asking Scopely to make less money, or aren't asking spenders to not have an advantage. We're challenging Scopely to figure out ways to do things without penalizing other players at the same time. And I understand that free-to-play players don't keep the lights on, but this is not a game if there's not a meaningful way to play this game free-to-play. If the game does not have free-to-play players, it's not a game. It needs to be reasonable for all players, and it needs to be fun for all players, not just the people that choose to spend. In other words, Scopely, get out of your own way. Stop overshadowing the great things this new era Marvel Strike Force has to offer. Your players should be excited about things like DD8, Odin, Blade, Null, and Battleworld, and not worrying about how you'll penalize us next. And I'm excited for Battleworld. I'm excited for Odin. I am. But all of this is putting a damper on that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Bye for now.